damn good baseball. But I want to hear about Blake Snell real quick. Here's Hunter Pitts on what he thought about Blake Snell's comments about needing spring training.
You want to sign that deal earlier. And I think it's a realization because a lot of players are like, oh, spring training is too long. And I was always like, man, I want every bit of opportunity to get prepared. Like, I love all of this. You need it. And especially like pitchers, right? Like getting that time and getting that rhythm. And there's nothing in the world that you can do. And I had crazy off-season training. Like I would do crazy psychotic workouts. And you come in the first week of spring training, even the first 2 days, you can barely sit down when you get home because there's nothing that can replicate the adrenaline that goes through doing that stuff in the big league uniform and metal spikes in spring training. There's just a different level of energy, of adrenaline. And so I think it's a realization to the players too. Like, hey, I need to get to spring training. Like no matter whether you're Cy Young or All-Star, practice matters. And I think he's just like, it's an excuse, but it's like true. Like, what did you realize? I realized that I'm really behind and I have to catch up.
It's crazy. I think we think of baseball as one of those you play every day and they're not in shape and all that whatnot. And yes, there is a different kind of fitness when it comes to baseball. Like there just is. Like you normally see guys with broader shoulders, broader arms than normal humans that are out there. But they're not necessarily chiseled. Not every single baseball player is chiseled. But there's a daily repetition of arm work that you do, of fielding ground balls, of getting ready. And you hear this so much about baseball players is that you got to play every day, right? Mm-hmm. There's the daily grind. I always talk about Matt Chapman or Brandon Crawford's practice routine. They get there hours before the game happens. Barry Bonds was notorious for this, for his hitting. And there's a whole 2-hour warm-up every day of how they get ready to play for an hour and a half, 2.5 hours at night. Right. And so for a pitcher, I can't imagine what it would be like not throwing to live batters in live batter situations and then just all of a sudden, boom, getting ready and just being ready to roll. Like you do need those ramp up periods.
Where are you at with Blake Snell, though? I know we talked a lot about Blake Snell yesterday. We'll talk to Fleming about him at 8:30 here. When I cited off those numbers yesterday about his career numbers, a lot of people just weren't hearing it, right? And I get it. You are what you are up to this point, right? His 5 starts, he just has not been good. I mean, giving up 27 hits in 19 innings. Just hasn't been good. But he does have a track record of turning it around. Are we willing to give a 2-time Cy Young Award winner the benefit of the doubt, knowing that, hey, he did his pitch of spring training, which is his own undoing? It's his fault. He's just pointing the finger at himself, and he said, I'll take accountability. It's an excuse, but it is what it is. He turns around. He has a good start against the Yankees, and he starts to turn this thing around. Is there a hope on the Blake Snell? Because a lot of people I talked to yesterday, a lot of people I saw on the social, get rid of Blake Snell. Like, we're not being patient towards a Cy Young Award winner, for crying out loud.
I mean, a 7-year horrific mega deal was salvaged by a couple of postseason starts for Barry Zito. Now, totally different circumstances, but like, it doesn't take a lot. You know what I mean? It just doesn't. You contribute down the stretch. You beat the Dodgers in a game, 2-1 or something that matters. Like that, people will come around quickly. I'm not here to say that he's unprofessional. That's not what I'm here to say. But when I look at like the best athletes in any sport, there is a dedication to their craft and being ready. And I think you've seen this with Bosa. You've seen this with Klay Thompson. And you've seen this now with Blake Snell. When whatever happens in the offseason bleeds into the start of the regular season, typically you have a horrible start to the year.
No doubt.
And you can cite psychological, you can cite contracts, you can cite circumstance, you can cite all the things you want. But the reality is that you're depreciating your own production, right? And so the teams all bear responsibility in almost all these situations. The players themselves bear some of the responsibility, and then some of it you just can't control. Like if you get hurt, even though you were in shape leading into it or whatever, like that could have happened if you didn't have spring training. You know what I mean? I think of Yaz a couple years ago. Monster spring training, gets hit by a pitch the second day before the season starts. That just sucks, right? It's unfortunate. But like, what did everyone think was going to happen? Like the Giants, the agent, the player. What did everyone think was going to happen? And this is a guy who already is more of a second-half pitcher than he is a first-half pitcher. Right. it sucks, and we're in the middle of it, and they need to revert. He needs a good start in the worst way. And that's what I think he needs, just to kind of change the narrative.
Just go 5 innings. Just go 5 innings if you can. Don't forget Deebo Samuel, the offseason he had where he was posturing with the 49ers.
Yeah.
And he was, first of all, we forgot 2020 he had the Jones fracture in the offseason, which, basically hindered him that season. He was out. He played half the year, was out. And then, of course, the next year where he goes out, he goes crazy. One of the best offensive seasons in 49ers history. And he wants his money, and he's posturing all off season. He admits that he's not in the best shape of his career, and he starts off slow. There is some truth to that. I wonder what Blake Snell was doing when he was working out. Like, there's one thing to throw on the side, to keep your arm fresh. But there's nope. I just have a hard time to think, boy, he was just sitting around, and then finally he got his money, and it was go time.
Well, I mean,
it's just kind of sad how that happened, knowing that he is a slow starter, knowing that this is the situation, knowing that he's watched the league and watched these players sign so damn late. But you're not a batter. It's easy for a batter to, all right, I'm signing the week out. Let me go face some pitching here over the next week. And you can do that. It's so much easier to transition as a hitter when you get to camp late.
Yeah, but you can, I'm imagining him working in some warehouse or whatever, or even on a diamond somewhere, and he's got a catcher, and maybe he's got some junior college or college pitcher or some 18-year-old that's in the ground. That is one thing, okay? But you can't simulate, hey, I've thrown 72 pitches. Mm-hmm. There's a guy at second. It's the 5th inning. We're on the road. It's 85 degrees, and I don't have a good feel for my curveball today. Like, I got to get this guy out because I want a decision here. Right. Like, you just can't simulate those things.
I agree.
You need those game reps. Like, I see all these, people send me these Trevor Bauer videos. Oh, Trevor Bauer's working out. Look who he's throwing to, and look at this. It's like, okay, that's all great and fine and dandy. Very few guys can go from, whatever training facility and step right into a game and not miss a beat. Very few guys can. Like, I just think, and then the other thing is, this is what worries me about pitching. Like, pitching is weird. Guys can lose it, and they can gain it back like that. Yep. We see it all the time.
So
like
can he gain it back?
Alex Manoah, I want to just real quick make this point.
Oh, he's lost it.
But he was a guy and he was younger, so it's very different. He came up, he was dominant. Went to the All-Star game. He was everybody's favorite character. 3-9 2 years ago, 1-2 right now. Has been up and down, ball out of the minors.
Can't get it out. Can't get it out.
That's not where Blake Snell is. But the point that I'm trying to make is that pitching is different, and guys do have lost years. And I worry that this could be a lost year.
Well, I'm looking. He hasn't had too many lost years, right?
He's been a great player.
He had the All-Star season, 2018 Cy Young Award, 21-5, 1.89 WHIP, ERA. The next year, he struggles. He has a 4.29 ERA in 23 games started. Did not have it. Walked a lot of guys. Did he bounce back? He bounced back. The track record tells you that he will bounce back. Like 10.42 ERA is not him. I do believe that it could start this week against the Yankees, against Aaron Judge, against guys who are going to be aggressive, who's going to be hacking at his offerings. My problem with Blake Snell right now, he just doesn't have the consistent command of that curveball and that slider. Once he gets command of those two pitches, I think all of a sudden the fastball looks livelier, the fastball looks more explosive. But when batters know, and Philadelphia knew the other day, he lost the curveball.
Yeah.
He lost command of the slider. Let's just sit on these pitches. He's going to bounce him in front of the plate. We'll just sit on the fastball. We'll wait on the fastball. And they started waiting on the fastball. And they started tagging him. Once he gets command, I'm looking, because that curveball, the first 2 innings, I was with Carter yesterday, and who had a caller yesterday said, Blake Snell looked great in first 2 innings, and he did.
He did.
I was like, wow, this is the Blake Snell I'm waiting for. This is the Cy Young Award winning. That curveball was snapping. Oh, it was breaking. Then the slider was sliding. Then he lost the command. So when can he get that command? When is that feel come with the command?
He's got to sustain it throughout an entire start.
That's what I'm saying.
But I think part of baked in who he is he's a guy that doesn't want to miss over the zone, and he's going to throw a lot of what I call wasted pitches that aren't even close and scud missiles. He just does. Like, watching him drives me kind of crazy because he does have unbelievable stuff, but he's so erratic. I don't know, man. The more and more I think about this, like as we talk about, you're referencing Brandon Ayuk maybe holding out. Like, I'm just asking as I zoom out a little, just in sports in general. How many times does it work out for these people who hold out or wait till the last minute to sign?
Le'Veon Bell, but you got to understand it's a case by case basis.
No, I
some
do.
of these guys got.
I'm saying in general,
it usually doesn't.
That's all.
I can't recall it working out.
Like very few guys have held. Like Emmitt Smith, I remember held out and had a monster year, or whatever.
Jerry Rice held out
30 years ago.
Jerry Rice held out, had monster seasons. Guys do hold out, and they get.
But in recent memory,
I mean, I'm kind of just lost here, lost in the sauce. Who's held out recently? Like Aaron Donald held out, but he had a monster season, right?
That's true.
I mean, he had
it just feels like a Bosa. It waited till the last second, and he was good, but not his usual great. Like I'm talking outstanding. He was a tick below what we're accustomed to. And I don't know, man. We always say, well, we'll get the bag, and I get it. Like their shelf life is not big. You have to do it. I do get that.
You have to do that.
But you're also like, if let's say I have and I listen to Hunter Pence, I hate a 14-year career at the bigs. I'm sacrificing one of those years. On one end,
well, you don't think so though. But
it's a tough compromise.
But you have to get that contract.
No,
because
I know.
If you do
You're
come
right.
back and you get hurt in practice, well, guess what? You're not going to get that money. All of a sudden, you get football
yes,
for sure.
In football, yes.
Basketball, you don't see many holdouts. You see that at all.
No,
it's
you
very
don't.
rare. Baseball, and it's more so baseball nowadays, is because guys are signed late.
Yeah.
That's what it is. These teams don't want to give out the big money deals, and they're waiting and waiting and waiting. And some of these agents, like Scott Boras, is like, hey, I want you to wait a little bit. Jordan Montgomery fired him. It's like, get the hell out of my face. I'm not working like this anymore. It was more so on the agent. Baseball's got to fix that. Bryce Harper signed late, but he had a monster season, right?
Well, he was only batted 260 that year, that first year. But he was good.
He was really good.
Really quick, he had 10 home runs and hit 248 in those first 2 months of the season after holding out. So, I mean, he still got to a pretty solid start, even though he missed a big chunk of that spring training.
Who's that?
Bryce Harper.
Bryce Harper.
Yeah.
JD Martinez, didn't he hold out? Did he sign late with the Dodgers last year?
Yeah, yes, he did.
What did he hit? 36 home runs?
Yeah.
He had a monster season.
And then he sat there again. And,
but he's starting to pick it up with the Mets. He's still a quality batter. I don't know why he's, so it all depends. Like, in football, I get it, though. Like, I get Brendan
I would
Ayuk
agree with you.
and Christian McCaffrey's going to hold out.
I mean, and also because of the game being so violent.
Yeah. But